I kissed her secretly while she was asleep. She suddenly opened her eyes, her voice soft and sweet. "Kiss me again, please." My name sounds similar to hers. My name is Chen Jingyu and her name is Chen Jinyu. In our first big class in college, we had the same teacher. When the teacher called the roll 2 minutes in advance, she called her name first. Chen Jinyu. This is the first class in college, Ideological and Political Theory, which is a large class attended by students from several classes with different majors. I went to the classroom early and sat in the middle. Half of the students were already seated in the classroom, and with 2 minutes left before the class started, the teacher had already started calling the roll. When I heard the name, Chen Jinyu, I subconsciously stood up and answered. The old professor looked at me, then looked at the roll call list in his hand, frowned, and seemed vaguely angry. "You're looking for a substitute teacher for the first class of the semester? What? Are you planning to substitute her for the entire semester? The gender isn't even right. Are you trying to fool me?" The old professor was deeply distressed and his tone became stern. All eyes in the classroom were on me, and it was so hot that my face turned red instantly. With my face already flushed, I moved my lips and prepared to explain. But suddenly my eyes froze, and a slender figure appeared at the front door of the classroom, wearing a white short-sleeved shirt, a short skirt and over-the-knee socks, clean and refreshing. "Chen Jinyu, here you are." Her voice was sweet and energetic, and her eyes and eyebrows were of gorgeous colors, which almost attracted the attention of all the boys in the classroom. "Teacher, you can't wrongly accuse someone in broad daylight. I didn't find any substitute teacher, and this little brother is obviously a model student." Her tone was teasing but not offensive. The old professor looked through the roster again and finally found my name. He realized that it was his negligence, apologized to me, and kept lamenting how there could be such similar names in the class. Chen Jinyu walked towards me, and I suddenly felt as if my breathing began to stagnate. My heart is beating like a drum. Chen Jinyu sat next to me. I guess we were a family 800 years ago. Her breath was so close to me that I almost knocked over the cup at hand because of what he said. She quickly held the cup for me and asked me, "Brother, why are you panicking?" The old professor probably noticed that I was uncomfortable throughout the class and thought it was his fault, so he called me and Chen Jinyu over after class. He said he would pay to treat Chen Jinyu and me to some drinks. "Sister, take your brother with you." The ideological and political teacher actually started to pay money. "No, teacher, really not." I subconsciously refused. Chen Jinyu just looked at me and the old professor making excuses. In the end, the old professor failed to defeat me and returned to his podium silently. "Kid, can you still get lucky money during the Chinese New Year?" Chen Jinyu laughed. I was puzzled, and suddenly realized it. However, the teacher originally wanted to invite Chen Jinyu and me to have a drink together, but I didn't even ask her opinion and just refused directly. I bit my lip. "Chen Jinyu, how about I buy you a drink?" "Can." She smiled, and her amber eyes looked like a lake on the plateau, bright and shining. I packed my school bag and Chen Jinyu asked me if I had any other classes after that. After all, we were in different classes. "I still have one more period, but I still have time for a drink." There is a small shop downstairs in the teaching building, and Chen Jinyu bought a bottle of AD calcium milk. Maybe because I looked at her too clearly, she turned back to look at me. "You want this too?" I had no choice but to nod. So she took out another banana from the refrigerator and stuffed it into my arms. When I was paying, Chen Jinyu stopped me and said, "Can my sister really ask you for money?" Chen Jinyu was so popular in RV University that even I, his little brother, became famous as well. She has always been popular and is always surrounded by a group of girls. Sometimes our classes had the same physical education class, and the girls who were good friends with Chen Jinyu would also call me brother. Sometimes when Chen Jinyu heard this, she would laugh and curse, "Why are you making up random relatives? We are all sisters. Isn't sister use brother or brother?" Chen Jinyu ignored them and came over to give me a bottle of water. She pointed at a few people and said, "Look carefully, ask them to buy you water next time." I had no choice but to laugh along. Later, the rumor that I was Chen Jinyu's younger brother became more and more outrageous, and my name directly changed from Chen Jinyu to Chen Jinyu. I really envy you. You just entered the school and you became the younger brother of the school belle. I can lick her face up close every day. I'm happy just thinking about it, said the roommate. I smiled, but there was no sudden feeling of bitterness in my heart. Chen Jinyu has known me for 3 days, and everyone knows it. I have liked her for 3 years, and only I know it. Yes, I liked Chen Jinyu since high school. Even the reason I was able to enter this school was because of Chen Jinyu. My grades were not very good in junior high school, but in high school, Chen Jinyu was almost my spiritual pillar. In order to be able to go to the same university as her, it was normal for me to only sleep 3 hours in my senior year of high school. I almost finished most of the real test questions and simulation test questions available on the market. In the end, the pile of exercise books I finished was taller than me. Sometimes when I couldn't hold on any longer, I would frantically write her name on my exercise book, with such deep emphasis that it seemed as if the tip of my pen could penetrate the notebook and bring light into my dark world. Because there is such a huge gap between me and her. No one knows that I like Chen Jinyu. I hid it well. The day I fell in love with Chen Jinyu was not like the scene where the hero and heroine of the comic meet. There was no golden sunshine, but instead dark clouds covering the city. I went to junior high school in the small town of my hometown. When I was in high school, my father's business grew and he took me to the city. He paid a high fee to get me into No. 1 middle school. Because my home is close, I go to school as a day student. I take bus route 412 to school every day. That was my first day taking bus 412. Because the platform was near the front, I got a seat. There are a lot of passengers on this route, and it happens to be the time for shopping, so the bus is starting to get crowded. An auntie came back from shopping, carrying 2 lettuces and a fish. I don't know whether it was intentional or unintentional, but even though the fish was slaughtered and covered with a layer of plastic bag, the wet water still soaked my school pants. I hid my legs inside the seat, but the aunt still kept leaning towards me. I vaguely understood that she did it on purpose. I prepared myself in my heart before I said, "Auntie, your fish rubbed against me." However, my warning did not stop her. On the contrary, she started to speak sarcastically, saying that I was impolite and did not give up my seat to her. She was so aggressive that everyone around me looked at me, as if it had nothing to do with me. I had a high fever that day and was a little carsick. I feel uncomfortable. But the naked gazes around me made me feel ashamed. But just when I was about to get up. "Why should I give you my seat? If you want to be comfortable, take a taxi. I didn't see you being so weak when we were fighting for the eggs." This is how Chen Jinyu appeared. She was already very tall at that time, and her cold face was quite intimidating. The aunt was probably a little scared of her, but she still kept scolding her. Chen Jinyu came over to me calmly, put one hand on the back of my seat, and tilted the cup of oatmeal in his hand. "Are you carsick? Auntie, if you don't move away, I'll vomit all over you." My head was dizzy, and when I saw Chen Jinyu blinking at me, I immediately understood and dry heaved twice. When the aunt saw it, her face turned green and she jumped 2 meters away. After getting off the car, Chen Jinyu smiled and said, "If I had known, I would have poured half the cup on her." "You're from out of town, right? From what I heard you say just now, it didn't sound like you were from here." I blushed and nodded, thinking it was because of my accent. She said, "You sound so gentle when you speak, not like the stinky boys around me at all." At that time, I didn't know that I would be bothered by the stinky boy she called me for many years. This city is great. Don't change your opinion of it just because of 1 or 2 people. Most of them are good people like me. Because of one person, I seem to have really fallen in love with the city. I am used to helping Chen Jinyu save a seat in the ideology and politics class. I am always very active in the Monday classes, so active that even my roommate noticed. "Chen Jinyu, you don't like your sister, do you?" My roommate was brushing his teeth while watching me picking out clothes. Suddenly, the tips of my ears started to turn red again. After all, my love for Chen Jinyu was a secret that I had buried deep in my heart for many years, and I had long been accustomed to letting it lie dormant in the dark. "Don't talk nonsense, I just treat her as my sister." I defended myself. But the roommate seemed to see through it. "We are not born from the same mother, Chen Jinyu, where does your sense of guilt come from?" My thoughts were guessed, so I ran away to class with my school bag on my back. As usual, when I went to the cafeteria to buy breakfast, I also bought one for Chen Jinyu. She likes the freshly ground soy milk and rose bean paste buns in the canteen. Chen Jinyu was used to arriving on time, but later because I brought her breakfast, she would arrive 5 minutes early. When I arrived at the door of the lecture hall, Chen Jinyu and a girl just arrived. I have seen that girl before. She is Chen Jinyu's roommate. Chen Jinyu naturally took my breakfast, which made the girls next to her scream. "My dear lady, how could you be so lucky to have such a brother? What? Are you jealous?" Chen Jinyu smiled, and the golden sunlight just happened to shine on her fair ears, shining brightly and catching people's eyes. "I can't envy you enough." The girl was not in the same class with us, and she left after saying that. Chen Jinyu and I stood side by side in the corridor eating steamed buns. Teacher Ideology also arrived. When he saw us, he started to joke, "Chen Jinyu, the lazy guy, got to eat the buns. It's all thanks to my brother. Isn't this obvious?" Because of the first class, Mr. Sishio became much more familiar with both of us. I greeted the teacher with a smile. I am actually really grateful to him. If it weren't for the misunderstanding in the ideological and political theory class, Chen Jinyu probably wouldn't have known that there was someone like me until now. The ideological and political education teacher went into the classroom, and at the end he specifically reminded us to go in quickly after finishing our meal. I said yes. Chen Jinyu paused when she took her first bite of the bun, then looked up at me. "Did you go to the third hall today?" I was stunned. Because of the interruption by my roommate this morning, I was delayed for a while. When I arrived at the cafeteria, the rose bean paste buns had been sold out. So I ran to the third canteen and bought one. The first canteen is on the way, but the third canteen requires a detour. But I didn't expect that she could even tell which canteen the buns came from. I bit the bun and wondered how to answer her. But she suddenly poked my waist with one finger. I suddenly tensed up all over. "My sister, why are you so nervous?" "No." Just as the bell rang, she took the last bite of the bun and pushed my shoulder into the classroom. Sitting in her seat, she suddenly turned her head. "Don't give in to me next time. I can eat anything." It turns out she knows everything. Chen Jinyu joined the school volleyball team. They have training on weekends. I often go to watch her play. Chen Jinyu is very popular, and even my younger brother is popular as well. The volleyball team is divided into women's team and men's team. The training of the women's team and the men's team sometimes coincides with each other. Training is not a game. I am the only one on the volleyball court in the indoor gymnasium. I take out a sketchbook and draw. Although it is just lines, the main characters can be clearly seen at a glance. I'm always used to focusing on her. The captain of the volleyball team came over with a box of water to distribute and also gave me a bottle. "Thanks." Polite. After the captain left, several men's team members came over. The captain of the men's team was wiping his sweat with a towel, and the one next to him was the captain's cousin Zheng Wei. This senior is really something. The water in your volleyball team is all paid for by the budget. If you give a bottle to every person who comes to chase you, won't the team go bankrupt? Zheng Wei is quite sarcastic. I held the bottle of water and felt a little awkward for a moment. I usually bring my own water, but I forgot today. "Then I'll buy a bottle and return it later," I said softly. I'm not good at arguing with people. Chen Jinyu was still on the field. Zheng Jingjing heard it and came to my rescue. "It's just a bottle of water. Besides, Sister Yu's brother is not an outsider." Zheng Wei gave me a look of disdain. "What sister and brother? You must have some ulterior motives." Almost everyone in the team thought that I was Chen Jinyu's biological brother, but Zheng Wei knew that I was not. It seemed that he was here for Chen Jinyu again. "What's the matter?" Chen Jinyu came over and asked. She was drinking water, but her eyes were towards me. I looked at Chen Jinyu and suddenly felt relieved. What Zheng Wei said was right. I did have some intentions towards Chen Jinyu. Chen Jinyu put down the water bottle in her hand. "Brother, what's wrong?" He said I drank the team's water. Chen Jinyu suddenly frowned, looked at Zheng Wei on the side, his eyes became dim, and then looked at Zheng Jingjing. From now on, the water in the team will be determined by me, and I will pay for my brother's share. Zheng Wei's face suddenly changed, turning red and then blue. Chen Jinyu pulled me out and put his fingers on my wrist. The warm touch was obvious and my heartbeat also rose with the temperature. Chen Jinyu asked me to wait for him there for a while because she forgot something in the gym. I waited there for about 10 minutes, and when I saw that she hadn't come back yet, I went to look for her. As soon as I arrived at the volleyball court, I heard Chen Jinyu's cold voice, "You are someone who actually has the confidence to slander others behind their backs. Look at yourself before you speak. As for Chen Jinyu, that's between him and me, it's not your turn to judge. Mind your own business." There was almost no other sound in the venue. Zheng Wei felt embarrassed when Chen Jinyu said that. The captain of the men's team said, "Chen Jinyu, don't speak so harshly. Besides, Zheng Wei likes you." The captain of the boys' team thought that girls also like to see boys being jealous of them, so he thought that by saying this, Chen Jinyu's anger would dissipate a little. But who would have thought that Chen Jinyu would directly ask in a cold voice, "What does it have to do with me?" I only heard later that the cause of this incident was that Zheng Wei was so angry that he and the men's team slandered me behind my back. Unexpectedly, Chen Jinyu, who was turned back, heard it all. Chen Jinyu got angry on the spot. Chen Jinyu has always had a good temper. Zheng Jingjing said that this was the first time she saw Chen Jinyu get so angry. Chen Jinyu and I went out to eat in an alley, and the food was delicious. While I was eating, I secretly looked at her. I didn't dare to do that before. I was afraid that if she found out, I would lose even my identity as her little brother. But today, she stood up for me and protected me without hesitation, which made me a little too proud of myself. Am I really that good looking? If you keep looking, the food will go into your nose. Who said I was looking at you? Try this. This is a hidden gem that I discovered, and I won't share it with others easily. I suddenly felt a surge of joy. You mean I'm not an ordinary person? I finally mustered up the courage to try to be brave, but Chen Jinyu met an acquaintance and went over to say hello. When she came back, she looked at me and asked, "What were you going to say?" "Nothing." Chen Jinyu didn't ask any more questions, but said that she had just seen a very tall boy, who was estimated to be about 1.9 meters tall. Suddenly I remembered that when Chen Jinyu rescued me on the bus, he thought I was a freshman in the junior high school and insisted on sending me to the door of the junior high school. At that time, I was shorter than boys of the same age, and I felt inferior for a long time because of this. Even though I'm now 1.87 meters tall, when I thought of this, I ate a few more mouthfuls of rice. I don't know if I can grow another 3 centimeters at this age. A week later, our school started military training. Chen Jinyu and I are not in the same team. Fortunately, my instructor was not very strict. But the weather is indeed hot. I checked a lot of posts in advance and prepared a military training artifact for Chen Jinyu. Coincidentally, Chen Jinyu also prepared one for me. The night before the military training, Chen Jinyu brought me some midnight snacks after the volleyball team finished training. She also gave me a big bag of the necessary supplies for the military training that she had prepared. I couldn't help but smile secretly and felt extremely happy. "Actually, I prepared something for you too," I said. "You also know how to choose sunscreen and insoles." Chen Jinyu seemed a little surprised, but still accepted the one I prepared. Chen Jinyu is very fair, the type that never gets tanned. But she likes sports, which is really enviable. However, although she will not tan, she will get sunburned. She got sunburned during the military training in her first year of high school. I saw her neck was sunburned and a large area of skin turned red and peeled. When I was in the first year of high school, I bought her a tube of ointment and secretly placed it on her desk. We were not in the same class, and in order to avoid being discovered, I lied and said that I had heat stroke. The instructor at the time asked me to go back to the classroom to rest. I quietly went to Chen Jinyu's class and put the ointment on her seat like a thief, my heart beating in my throat. But when I was about to leave, I heard footsteps in the corridor and I heard them talking about Chen Jinyu. In a panic, I hid behind the door of Chen Jinyu's class. I felt like my whole body was shaking. I couldn't describe the trembling, but it was filled with mixed emotions. All the energy and blood seemed to flow to the top of the head. What scared me the most was that someone suddenly opened the door. It's Chen Jinyu himself. She was positioned right next to the door, with a broom behind it. She was wearing military training pants and rubber shoes, but I still knew it was her at first glance. I had nowhere to retreat. The space behind the door was already cramped, and because of her breath, it became so narrow that I felt like I couldn't breathe. But suddenly, I felt that the stuffy feeling subsided a lot. It turned out that she moved the stool forward to make some space for me. Let's go. Chen Jinyu suddenly spoke. Sure enough, those people left with her one after another. The noise was getting farther and farther away, but I felt as if I had suddenly lost all my strength, and my forehead was covered with cold sweat. I don't know if she discovered that I didn't have it, but later, I saw the tube of ointment I bought in the Lost and Found. It was brand new, and she didn't use it. I didn't take it back either. I have no idea what happened to that tube of ointment later. This time I applied the sunscreen that Chen Jinyu prepared for me, and used the 1L water bottle she prepared. Maybe it was karma. I lied that I had heat stroke last year, but this time I really had heat stroke. When I was standing at attention, I thought I could just hold on and it would pass, but suddenly I felt a black screen in front of my eyes and I fell down. When I was completely unconscious, I heard someone calling my name. Various voices were mixed together, but I still easily heard Chen Jinyu's voice. When I woke up, there was still an 4 needle on the back of my hand, and Chen Jinyu was sitting next to me. I heard her ask the doctor, why hasn't he woken up yet? Could he have another problem besides heat stroke? He's fine. He just fell asleep. You can still wake him up if you call him. Chen Jinyu said, oh. I can sleep well. I don't know why, but I heard a hint of pampering in her tone. I'm awake. I opened my eyes and looked at her. When Chen Jinyu saw that I woke up, she blocked my view with her hands. No, you're not awake. Go to sleep a little longer so I can take a break. Seeing how serious she was, I nodded and closed my eyes, but I could still hear her faint laughter. When I was about to open my eyes, she whispered in my ear, go to sleep, I'll keep you company. I slept until the evening. When I woke up, the sunset outside the window was golden mixed with rose red and indigo, like the eyeshadow palette of a beauty-loving girl being scattered. Chen Jinyu was not in the room, he must have gone to military training. As I was thinking about it, a slender hand came to lift the curtain and Chen Jinyu came in, holding a packed meal in the other hand. I can sleep well. She sat down beside my bed and put the food she brought on the table. You're the one who told me to sleep. I threw back the quilt and sat up. I don't know if it was because I had slept for too long or what, but I suddenly felt dizzy. I held Chen Jinyu's shoulders in panic. Chen Jinyu saw that something was wrong with me, so she put her arm around me and pulled me towards her. She must have just finished training. Her skin was still warm, and the sweet citrus scent from her body lingered around my nose. So my heartbeat started to get out of rhythm. Are you still feeling uncomfortable, brother? Just bear with it for now. I'll go get the doctor. She said, as if she really wanted to get up and call the doctor. I held her hand and said, I'm fine. I guess I just have low blood sugar. She then gave up, opened the packed meal and watched me eat. Chen Jinyu didn't seem to notice anything unusual about me. Seeing that my ears were red, she thought I was hot, so she took the small fan that the nurse had placed next to her and fanned me. Apart from getting heat stroke during military training, the rest of the military training was unremarkable to me. However, Chen Jinyu was selected as the model for the next team. Although this is not surprising, I still want to praise the instructor for his vision. In this way, she stood in front of the next team and I could see him at a glance. Chen Jinyu has a slender figure, and this military training uniform actually looks good on her. She seems to be glowing. But now, every day before the military training gathering, Chen Jinyu would come over with a bottle of Huaxiang Jingqi liquid and watch me drink it to prevent me from getting heat stroke again. Huaxiang Jingqi liquid is really smelly and unpalatable, and I always resist it. Can I not drink it? I didn't even notice that the tone of my words sounded like I was acting coquettishly to my girlfriend. But acting coquettishly seemed to have no effect on Chen Jinyu, as she always kept her word when it came to preventing heat stroke. Huaxiang Jingqi water really stinks. However, Chen Jinyu saw how hard I was drinking, so every time after I finished drinking, he would take out a candy from the pocket of his military training uniform and give it to me. Suddenly, it seemed that the Huixiang Jingqi water was not so bitter after all. During the entire military training, the most relaxing activity was singing songs in the evening. After the square singing, there will be some opportunities for individual talent display. Some people sang, some danced, and the response was very good. Chen Jinyu was urged by the team next door to perform a show. She took the loudspeaker from the instructor and sang Jay Chou's Blue and White Porcelain. Her voice is really nice, and many boys and girls turned on the lights on their mobile phones to form small, cheerful lights for her. Youth may be like this. Some people are good at singing and dancing, suitable for seizing the opportunity to shine their own eye-catching brilliance. Some people are suitable for hiding in the dark, carefully holding the sunlight falling on their fingertips, for fear that it will be filtered through their fingers. After Chen Jinyu finished singing, many boys still talked about her with great interest. However, the most exciting thing that night was that Qin Ran, a boy in Chen Jinyu's team, sang a song, I Like You, to confess his love to Chen Jinyu. On summer nights, when I listened to others expressing their love for her, I felt not only bitterness but also envy, because I didn't know when I would dare to say, I like to her. Someone confessed his love, and the playground became unprecedentedly lively. But Chen Jinyu didn't respond for a long time. The people in the team looked around but couldn't find Chen Jinyu. The instructor of the next team then remembered that Chen Jinyu had asked for leave to go to the toilet. The other party was not there, so he couldn't join in the fun, and with other people dancing, gradually no one paid much attention. After about 10 minutes, I felt someone pulling me from behind. I turned around and saw it was Chen Jinyu. Shoo, follow me. My position was in a dark corner and everyone else was watching the show, so no one noticed us. But I felt guilty, so I asked the instructor for leave and said I was going to the toilet. I ran over to find Chen Jinyu. She was standing under a tall banyan tree, biting an ice cream cone and holding a whole one in the other hand. It's the new one that opened in the school. There's usually a long queue and you can't buy anything there. I remembered that Chen Jinyu forgot to bring me candy this morning, and said she would buy me ice cream to make up for it. It turned out that she didn't hear the other person's confession because she went to buy me ice cream. I don't know why I feel guilty. Maybe it's because I know how much longing, expectation, and sadness one needs to put into liking someone, and confessing one's feelings requires even more courage. After the military training, we took off our military training uniforms, and it seemed that everyone was darker. After the final performance, Chen Jinyu and I had agreed to go out for lunch together. But when I changed my clothes and went to find her, Chen Jinyu's roommate said that he and Qin Ran had gone out. Qin Ran was the boy who sang a song to express his love during the military training. I left in a daze and walked towards the food street outside alone. The crowd was bustling, but I seemed to be isolated from the hustle and bustle. I have seen that boy before. He is sunny and outgoing, completely different from me. He looks a bit like Chen Jinyu's boyfriend in high school. Originally, Chen Jinyu and I had agreed to eat at a newly opened barbecue restaurant in the food court. Before I knew it, I arrived at the door of the store. Chen Jinyu. You are here. Please come in and sit down. Your sister has reserved table number 12. The owner of the barbecue restaurant saw me and greeted me warmly. The owner of this store is a senior from our school. Chen Jinyu is quite familiar with her, so she also knows me. The other party was too enthusiastic, and I'm not good at rejecting other people's enthusiasm, so I hesitated for a moment and finally went into the store. The boss took me to seat number 12. The restaurant is very lively, and most people eating barbecue come in groups of 3 or 5. I am the only one. I drank the lemonade provided by the store. The sour feeling went from my tongue to my stomach and finally to my heart. This time I showed up from the very beginning, but there will still be someone who gets there first. I ordered a few dishes at random and casually flipped through the dishes on the grid. But because I was daydreaming and probably not very skilled, a piece of meat stuck to the grill, and I used the tongs to pry it away. As a result, the piece of meat flew over and stuck to the arm of a girl passing by. I was completely stunned. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It's okay, don't worry, I'll go to the kitchen and get some cold water to rinse off. What's wrong? It was Chen Jinyu's voice. I turned around and I don't know why, but as soon as she appeared, it seemed as if all my negative emotions disappeared completely. I burned someone. Because the piece of meat had just been put there not long ago, the temperature was not too high, and the burns on her arm were not too serious, just a little red. I went to the owner of the barbecue restaurant and got the burn ointment to apply on the girl. I apologized to the girl again. My name is Lin Huan, and I'm from class 3 next door. I've actually seen you a long time ago, and it seems like we met today. Why don't we add each other on WeChat, said Lin Huan. I took out my cell phone and saw a lot of missed calls, all from Chen Jinyu. I looked up at Chen Jinyu, and was somewhat surprised to find that her expression was a little unexpected. Student Lin, if you have any sequelae in the future, you can come to me directly. Chen Jinyu suddenly said. Lin Huan looked at Chen Jinyu and me. Maybe because Chen Jinyu looked too tough to deal with at the moment, Lin Huan nodded. Chen Jinyu sat down and went to grill meat. I added Lin Huan's WeChat, and Lin Huan then asked in a low voice, "Who is Chen Jinyu to me?" But before I could answer, Chen Jinyu replied casually, "Guardian." I turned to look at Chen Jinyu. She was looking down, using tongs to pick up the burnt meat from the grid. She looked very focused, as if she was completely unaware of how ambiguous her word, guardian, was. "Why are you here?" I asked Chen Jinyu. "Didn't we agree to have a barbecue today?" She looked at me. "And why didn't you wait for me? You didn't even answer the phone." Chen Jinyu said this with some resentment. I whispered, "Aren't you out with the others?" I didn't check my phone. I'm used to muting it at school. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'd forget to turn off the sound during class and disturb the class. "You mean Qin Ran?" Chen Jinyu suddenly laughed, her face looking like a cloudy sky. "Even if you want to refuse, you should make it clear in person, right? Only by making it clear can we avoid confusion later." It turned out that he was going to refuse. Suddenly, the haze in my heart disappeared a lot. I thought I was the only one eating, so I didn't order much. Also, I burnt most of the food, so there wasn't much left on the table. So Chen Jinyu asked the waiter to bring the menu to me and asked me to order some more. Chen Jinyu stood up and went to the front desk and said something. Chen Jinyu is very good at grilling and was very caring towards me. He cut the grilled meat with scissors and put it on a plate before placing it in front of me. It was only later that I was awakened by something my roommate said. He said, in fact, both Chen Jinyu and I were confused by the situation. In the eyes of bystanders, for a long time, except for the fact that I did not have the identity of boyfriend, Chen Jinyu treated me in every way according to the standards of a boyfriend. I find it very strange. I feel like I have never seen a person like Lin Huan before, but since that day at the barbecue restaurant, I always meet her. She and I even took several classes together. Our dormitory is a mixed dormitory, so we can't go to class together like other dormitories. Most of the time, I sit alone. Lin Huan came over and sat next to me. Lin Huan looks gentle and bookish, and is completely different from Chen Jinyu. After class, my roommate asked me to play ball, and Lin Huan stopped me. "You paid for us that day, right? How can this be allowed? I'll give you the money back." I was stunned for a second and guessed that it was Chen Jinyu who paid the money. "It's okay, you don't have to pay it back. I'm really sorry for that day." "Lin Huan, my hand is fine, how can I afford to spend your money?" My roommate just happened to come over. In order not to make my roommate wait too long, I rejected Lin Huan again. Unexpectedly, Lin Huan had prepared some cash. When he saw me about to leave, he came over to pull me and tried to force the money on me. But before her hand was about to touch my arm, it was blocked by another hand. Glancing sideways, I saw Chen Jinyu's overly beautiful face. Chen Jinyu stood in front of me calmly. Is she jealous? The heat went straight to my chest, causing my heart to beat again and encouraging the budding love of my crush to grow wildly. "What are you doing?" Seeing that it was Chen Jinyu, Lin Huan explained, "I just want to pay back the money." "Why are you using force when we're just talking?" Chen Jinyu came over and looked at me. I nodded. "It was that time, at the barbecue restaurant when you helped them pay the bill." Chen Jinyu understood, and then turned to Lin Huan, "You're welcome." We were the ones who offended him first. After Chen Jinyu and Lin Huan left, the roommates started screaming and saying that this was completely an idol drama come true. It is said that even the school belle gets jealous one day. Although I pretended to be calm on the surface, I was extremely excited in my heart. Am I really different in her heart? The first semester of my freshman year seemed to go by so quickly. It seemed like the first day of school was just yesterday, but before I knew it, it was already the end of the semester. V City is in the south. There is no heating in winter, so we rely entirely on our integrity to survive the winter. As the end of the semester approaches, the library is unprecedentedly lively. The boys' dormitory is closer to the library, so I am the one who helps Chen Jinyu reserve a seat in the library. She is afraid of cold, so she gets up later and later in the morning. Now, I can have breakfast with her not only in the philosophy class, but also at other times, and I have the right to send her back to the dormitory every night. Chen Jinyu and I are studying different majors, so our exam times are also different. She finished the exam before me. After Chen Jinyu found out that she and I were actually from the same city, it was natural for us to go home together, and I bought the high-speed rail tickets for her. Before the last exam, I gave my luggage to Chen Jinyu for safekeeping. She was waiting for me in a cafe at the east gate of the school. I could go directly to her after I left the exam room. University is not like junior high and high school, where there is no activity to check answers after the exam. I was afraid that Chen Jinyu would get impatient waiting, so I handed in the paper early after finishing it, picked up my phone from the podium, and walked out happily. This time I am going home with Chen Jinyu, and I am so happy when I think about it. But my smile didn't last long. When I reached the corner of the cafe, I saw Chen Jinyu talking on the phone with her back to me. I stayed silent and waited for her to finish the call and then suddenly appeared to scare her. But the next moment, I heard a familiar voice on the other end of her receiver. Jiang Yuan, Chen Jinyu's boyfriend in high school. Why hasn't your school had its holiday yet? I've been back for a long time. If you don't come back, who will give you barbecue? The boy's voice was full of the wantonness and casualness that only a young man from a wealthy family could have, which made me far behind. I know I have no right to be jealous, but I feel depressed when I think that her smile and brightness belonged to another boy before. Today's tickets will arrive tonight. Then when you come back, we'll go eat at the one near number 1 middle school. The way the two of them get along is still as tacit and familiar as ever. At this moment, I seem to be back in my second year of high school. Although Jiang Yuan is very famous, the Mid-Autumn Festival performance in my second year of high school was my first close contact with Jiang Yuan. During that Mid-Autumn Festival gala, Chen Jinyu and Jiang Yuan were both hosts. The two of them seemed to have a particularly good understanding as a team. The combination of evening gowns and suits made them look like a perfect match made in heaven. That night, Chen Jinyu and Jiang Yuan became the focus of the whole audience. At that time, I went back to the town to visit the elderly on the weekend and was bitten on the face by a small insect called a shadow bug. I smeared red medicine on my face and wore a big mask to cover the miserable appearance. I watched Jiang Yuan lift up Chen Jinyu's skirt when they were leaving the stage. He raised his hand and gently removed the sequins that had fallen on Chen Jinyu's hair. I looked at Chen Jinyu's focused expression, and for a moment I felt deeply inferior. Sometimes I wonder why I can't grow taller like Jiang Yuan, why I can't easily get a top 3 in the grade like Chen Jinyu, why I still forget the texts I recited over and over again, why the person I like doesn't like me. They stood on the brightly lit stage, while I was drowned in the huge audience. I remember that year's Mid-Autumn Festival gala was talked about a lot because of Chen Jinyu and Jiang Yuan. I didn't watch all the performances and left halfway through. I knew early on that Chen Jinyu was the host, so I also signed up for the program, even though it was just a class chorus. I was wondering if she would pass by me while I was waiting in the backstage after she reported for the show. However, because of an injury to my face, I dropped out of the choir. When it comes to liking Chen Jinyu, I really don't seem to have any luck at all. Just when I was about to go back to the teaching building to practice questions, someone suddenly called me. I turned around and my heart suddenly began to tremble. It was Chen Jinyu. "Classmate, can you do me a favor?" Chen Jinyu asked. The last time I met Chen Jinyu was on the bus at the beginning of the school year and with the tube of ointment during military training. More than a year has passed, and she has always been active in my peripheral vision and on my eardrums, but I have long become a blind spot in her memory. I tried to make my voice sound calm and asked her what was wrong. Can you help me take this to Jiang Yuan in class 1? Chen Jinyu handed me something in his hand, which was a beautifully packaged tie. I nodded, took it from Chen Jinyu's hand, and turned around to deliver it. I heard her say thank you from behind, but she didn't have the courage to turn around and say you're welcome. She just pulled up her mask, as if she wanted to hide her face better. Jiang Yuan also thanked me, and I said it was okay, but behind me I heard the boys around me cheering. Everyone in number 1 middle school knew that Jiang Yuan and Chen Jinyu were a couple, but later, Chen Jinyu was admitted to V University ahead of schedule, while Jiang Yuan went to M University, which was thousands of kilometers away from V University, so word gradually spread that they broke up during graduation season. I didn't disturb Chen Jinyu from making a phone call and left quietly. Chen Jinyu came to the coffee shop and saw that I had arrived, and asked me if I had handed in the paper early. I hummed and suddenly noticed that Chen Jinyu looked a little bad. Could it be that she and Jiang Yuan had a fight after I left? Chen Jinyu looked a little depressed. This journey home was not what I had imagined. I looked at the scenery passing by outside the window and felt as if my chest was blocked by a ball of cotton. I really wanted to ask her what was going on between her and Jiang Yuan, but the words were stuck in my throat and I couldn't say them. After getting off the high-speed train, we took a taxi again. Chen Jinyu closed her eyes as soon as she got into the taxi. She seemed very sleepy. The driver asked me where I was going, and I blurted out the location of Chen Jinyu's home. Chen Jinyu suddenly opened his eyes. How did you know? My head buzzed as if there was a short circuit. How did I know this? When I graduated from high school, I helped the Youth League committee teacher organize the league members' file bags and other miscellaneous information, and I accidentally saw Chen Jinyu's file. It seems like I can remember everything about her. Last time, the printer in your girls' dormitory was broken, and I printed some materials for you. In a hurry, I remembered the last time she asked me to print some materials for her. But then I thought, what I printed for her that time seemed to be a data analysis report for an experimental class. How could there be a home address on it? I suddenly became nervous. Sometimes I felt very conflicted. I wanted her to understand my feelings for her, but I was also afraid that she would know my secret crush on her. However, Chen Jinyu didn't seem to notice anything unusual about me and just hummed. A few days after the winter vacation, I made an appointment with my high school friends to go out and play. What a coincidence, I actually met Chen Jinyu and Jiang Yuan. Of course, there are not just the two of them, there are also some other people who look familiar, as if they were former classmates of number 1 middle school. This is a snack street, and the people they are traveling with are queuing up to buy fried skewers. Chen Jinyu looked not in good spirits. He sat on a chair at the entrance of the snack stand with one hand on the back of the chair and his head resting on his arm. She closed her eyes and looked uncomfortable. I heard another girl asking Chen Jinyu what happened. Jiang Yuan continued, I caught a bad cold. I had a fever the day I came back. I've only gotten better in the past few days. He insisted on letting me out, but when I got out, I looked half dead again. It turned out that she was sick. Moreover, she felt unwell the day she came back. I thought she had a conflict with Jiang Yuan. I had already taken a step towards her, but suddenly calmed down. With Jiang Yuan here, how could it be my turn? Even if she was sick, the person she couldn't wait to see was Jiang Yuan. Thinking of this, I suddenly felt my eyes getting hot and my throat felt like it was blocked by something. I just took out my phone and sent her a message. Have you been sick recently? Remember to see a doctor in time and listen to the doctor's advice. My friend asked me what was wrong. I tried desperately to hold back my tears, but my eyes were getting redder and redder. I like someone very much, but I may never like him again. Maybe it's time to put an end to my secret love. The one-sided breakup made me sad for a long time. Soon, the most important festival during the winter vacation, the Spring Festival, will be here. I cleaned the house inside and out and tried hard not to think about Chen Jinyu. When she asked me out, I found an excuse to refuse. Until today, when I was cleaning my room, I started staring at the crystal ball again. This was during the Mid-Autumn Festival this year. Chen Jinyu and I were out playing and happened to come across a spicy snack eating competition. Chen Jinyu stared at the crystal ball for a few seconds and immediately signed up for the competition. In order to get the crystal ball, Chen Jinyu really gave it her all and completely let go of the burden of being a school belle. Because the count was in a short period of time, her face turned red from the spiciness and her lips were covered with chili oil. At that time, she was photographed by her classmates and the photos were uploaded to the campus forum, which shocked many people. Many boys even announced on the spot that they would stop being her fans. The highest reward for the Leixiao competition is a PSP, and all the alumni on the forum are lamenting that Chen Jinyu truly loves games. But only I know that although Chen Jinyu won first place, she exchanged her prize with the fifth place and exchanged the PSP for the crystal ball. She said the little bear in it looked very similar to my WeChat avatar and thought I would like it. The organizer asked Chen Jinyu if she would regret exchanging her PSP for the crystal ball. She said that the value of an item does not lie in how much it is worth, but in whether you like it or not. I brought this crystal ball back from school carefully because I was afraid it would be crushed if I put it in the box. But not long after, the crystal ball that I treated so carefully was broken. The crystal ball that Chen Jinyu gave me was taken by my brother and placed on the ground as a target. In addition to the crystal ball, there were also pillows at home, imitations of blue and white porcelain plates. He lay on the ground and played with the tennis ball as if it were a marble. As soon as I walked in, I saw my crystal ball in the queue, and my voice started to get louder unconsciously. "Chen Zhuo, what are you doing?" Chen Zhuo looked back at me without any fear. With a bang, my pupils dilated uncontrollably, and the crystal ball that Chen Jinyu gave me shattered to the ground. The glass cover outside was shattered and water flowed everywhere. When my mother came back, I was raising my hand to hit Chen Zhuo. When Chen Zhuo saw my mother coming back, he cried even louder. It was clearly him who bit me twice, and I was just about to fight back. "Are you crazy? He's your brother. What will happen to our family if you break him? Mom always favors Yenrui without asking why. He broke my crystal ball. He also did these things at home." My mother pushed me away, picked up Chen Zhuo, and coaxed him while scolding me. There is no child who is not naughty. Besides, how much is your crystal ball worth? You can just go buy another one. Your family has never been short of money. I suddenly felt as if my lungs were being squeezed by a hand and I could hardly breathe. I packed my bags and planned to go back to my grandma's house in town. They were having dinner, and my dad wanted to come over to pull me, but my mom stopped him by scolding him. "Let him go, I want to see how far he can go. He didn't learn anything else in college, but his temper has become worse and worse." I held my head high and walked away without looking back. They seemed like a family, and I was the only one who seemed out of place. When I arrived at the station, the conductor told me that because winter had arrived and there were not many passengers going to Hibernation Town, the bus would end earlier. I missed the last bus, so I can't go back to Hibernation Town today. I sat in the waiting chair at the station in a daze, as if the whole world was against me and I had never tasted the taste of luck. I watched the station slowly change from being crowded with people to being just a few people, and a strong sense of loneliness came over me like a tide. I remember a lot of things. When I was in junior high school, my family's conditions were not particularly good. I lived with my grandmother in Dongmyeon town, and Chen Zhuo lived with his parents in the city. My mother said that they don't have the financial resources to send both children to school in the city at the same time, so I must be obedient. But why am I the one who listens? It was obviously me who came to this house first. But I never had the chance to ask these questions. Until one day, my grandmother let it slip that I was just a child my parents adopted from an orphanage. The couple was unable to conceive, so they chose to adopt a child. But later, my mother became pregnant. I became the redundant one. I dragged my suitcase and planned to stay in a motel. Just as I was near a commercial street, I heard someone calling me. "Chen Jinyu." I turned around and saw Chen Jinyu and Jiang Yuan. I was in a panic and wanted to run away. I looked so miserable and exhausted. The most important thing is that Jiang Yuan is also there. I was dragging the box, which was a bit heavy, so Chen Jinyu caught up with me quickly. "Why are you running?" She looked up at me, and suddenly her relaxed tone became restrained, and her brows became sharp. "What's wrong? Are you in a bad mood?" Chen Jinyu tentatively pulled my sleeve, then half-hugged me from the side. I still have a little bit of sanity left. Chen Jinyu saw me looking in Jiang Yuan's direction and said to Jiang Yuan, "You go home first. I won't go back with you today." Surprisingly, Jiang Yuan looked at me with curiosity and a little wariness in his eyes, but no other emotions. "Anyway, it's not what you should look like when you see your girlfriend with another man." I heard Jiang Yuan say, okay, you've got a boyfriend and you've forgotten me. Good job, Chen Jinyu." I felt dizzy and vaguely realized that the relationship between Chen Jinyu and Jiang Yuan seemed to be different from what I imagined. "That's my uncle's son, my cousin Jiang Yuan." Chen Jinyu solved my doubts. Jiang Yuan is the son of Chen Jinyu's uncle. I almost thought I had heard it wrong. "Isn't he your ex-boyfriend?" I asked directly. "How do you know?" she pretended to be my boyfriend. Chen Jinyu looked at me scrutinizingly, and I touched my nose awkwardly. "I'm just guessing. I could only make it up." Fortunately, Chen Jinyu did not care too much about this issue, but patiently asked me again what happened. I briefly recounted what happened today, and finally said, "I'd better go find a hotel first." "Don't stay in a hotel, come to my house." No. My face turned slightly red. Although Jiang Yuan had misunderstood me, it was still not a good idea to go to her house rashly. Chen Jinyu kept holding my hand, and I tried my best to ignore the feeling of her hand being held. I didn't even dare to move and just kept a stiff gesture. "My parents are not at home, so I live alone. It's not inconvenient." Chen Jinyu looked at me seriously. "Besides, how can I feel at ease if I let you live in a hotel alone?" "I'm a boy, Chen Jinyu. Then I would also be worried about a brother like me who is alone outside." At this moment, Chen Jinyu was smiling like a little fox, and his words were completely bewitching when they fell on my eardrums. When I arrived at Chen Jinyu's house, just as she said, she was the only one at home. Chen Jinyu ordered some light porridge and side dishes and asked me to eat first. "Take a nap, and everything will be fine when you wake up." I stayed in the guest room of Chen Jinyu's house. My emotions were up and down. I was really tired and fell asleep soon. I woke up in a daze in the middle of the night. The crystal ball was placed intact on the bedside table next to me. My heart suddenly tightened and I was sure that I was dreaming. I slept until the next morning. My consciousness slowly returned and I gradually became awake, but the crystal ball was actually placed on the bedside table next to me. It's the original one, because the base is engraved with the two English letters CJY, which is me and her. After I fell asleep, Chen Jinyu found someone to repair the crystal ball overnight. The ornaments inside were glued back in place one by one, and the outer glass cover was replaced with a new one. There was a piece of paper under the crystal ball, with the words written on it powerfully, "Whether it is the crystal ball or the broken childhood, I will fix it in the future." I held the note in my hand, and tears suddenly fell from my eyes. It turns out that it's not that God has not blessed me, but that the best things are left for later, and the best people are already by my side. I ran downstairs wearing the pair of plush slippers prepared by Chen Jinyu. But as soon as I got downstairs, I was shocked and petrified by the scene in the living room. They were a middle-aged couple, and it was obvious that Chen Jinyu's parents had returned. Their luggage and belongings were placed on the sofa and the table, and it was obvious that they had just arrived home. Chen's parents were obviously stunned when they found that the person they saw when they got home was not their daughter but a strange boy. I tried my best to appear less flustered and steadied my trembling voice, "Hello, uncle and aunt." "Hey, hello. Mom and Dad, why are you back?" Chen Jinyu was quite surprised to see his parents when he came back with the breakfast he bought outside. Mother Chen said, "I originally said I would give you a surprise when I got back." Chen Jinyu came over to me and took me upstairs. Only then did I realize that I was still in my pajamas. "Chen Jinyu, you should change your clothes first. After you change, come down and have breakfast. Don't be afraid, my parents are both very easy to get along with. They were all working abroad, and I thought they wouldn't come back this year." Chen Jinyu explained it to me. I nodded, my face still feeling hot. I changed my clothes, and when I went out, Chen Jinyu was already waiting at the door. Her ears were red, and she seemed to want to say something but hesitated. "Is there anything wrong?" I asked. Chen Jinyu, brother, my mom just asked me what our relationship was, and I said, couple. She looked at me with her eyelashes drooping, a little pitiful. Brother, just think of it as doing me a favor, okay? Otherwise, my mom will definitely introduce other boys to me when she comes back this time. After all, my first love is still there. When she said the word couple, my heart started beating wildly, and I couldn't hear what she said after that. Is it okay? I actually heard a hint of nervousness from her mouth. Yes, I can. At this moment, neither of us can laugh at each other, because our ears are redder than the other. I stayed in a hotel near Chen Jinyu's home. She took me to the amusement park, bought me Ultraman and airplane models, and took me to the temple to pray for amulets. It seemed as if she really wanted to make up for the childhood I had missed. What surprised me most was Jiang Yuan. I didn't expect that the once famous figure would be so bad at playing games. He kept pestering me and Chen Jinyu to help him gain points. He really is a sucker for nothing. To be honest, I really didn't expect that my rival in love would be like this. It was also from Jiang Yuan that I learned that when I ran into Chen Jinyu and Jiang Yuan at the snack street that day, it was Chen Jinyu who asked Jiang Yuan to come out for reference in order to choose a New Year's gift for me. Chen Jinyu's parents are really easy to get along with, and Aunt Chen even gave me a super big red envelope. I didn't dare to accept it. Later, Chen Jinyu couldn't bear it anymore, so he just took it and put it in my pocket. It was hard to buy tickets for the New Year holidays and the trains were crowded, so Chen Jinyu borrowed Jiang Yuan's car and insisted on taking me home. Finally, I couldn't persuade her and let her go with me, although she also brought Jiang Yuan with her, because I wouldn't feel comfortable with her returning alone. I only sent them to town and didn't let them stay at my house. Chen Jinyu expressed her understanding and asked Jiang Yuan to drive back to the city. I carried my suitcase and arrived at the familiar door of my home, but the house had been uninhabited for a long time and cobwebs had formed at the door. In fact, Grandma has passed away many years ago. I don't want Chen Jinyu to know my predicament. But when I was sweeping the yard with a broom, Chen Jinyu appeared again at the fence outside the yard. She gently pushed open the wooden fence and threw herself into my arms, wrapping her arms around my waist. Brother, I won't abandon you. I slowly hugged her back, my arms gradually tightening. Chen Jinyu and I cleaned the old house together. I saw her standing by the desk, motionless, and I went over to take a look. After seeing clearly what she was holding in her hand, my face turned red. It was a photo of Chen Jinyu when he was in high school. It couldn't really be called a photo, but rather a cutout light box cloth with Chen Jinyu's portrait printed on it. The honor roll of No. 1 middle school uses a light box cloth, which is replaced with a new one after every major exam, although Chen Jinyu is always there. I saw the school workers put the new one on and threw the old one into the trash can. At that time, school was over and it was lunchtime, so there were not many people in the school, so I sneakily picked up the light box cloth. Because it was so big, I found a corner and cut out Chen Jinyu's photo. The rest of the fabric I threw back into the trash. After I took it home, I was afraid that Chen Zhuo would find Chen Jinyu's photo when he was looking through my things, so I took it back to Hibernation Town. So this photo on the light box has been kept in my room ever since. When I put it down, I never thought that one day it would appear in front of its owner. Chen Jinyu looked at me with a smile in her eyes. Brother, don't you want to explain? I opened my mouth and my ears turned red, but I didn't know how to explain. During my 3 years of secret love, I never thought that one day she would find out. But now she is full of encouragement and gives me the courage to speak out. I took a deep breath, my heart began to pound, my breathing became unstable, and I didn't even dare to look her in the eye. I admit that I have had bad intentions towards you for a long time. She suddenly touched my ears with both hands and whispered, "Thank you for your love. Give me a chance. Next, it's my turn to like you." I suddenly looked at her, and it seemed like fireworks were exploding in my head. I felt dizzy, and Chen Jinyu had already thrown herself into my arms again. I hugged her back, and I seemed to have discovered her secret. It turned out that her heartbeat was as fast as mine. Chen Jinyu and I stayed in Hibernation Town for a few days, and then we returned to the city. I still didn't go home and rented a house outside. My dad would come to see me sometimes. I found a part-time job for myself. Neither my mother nor I gave in. No one knew how long this Cold War would last. But I already have someone who will stand firmly by my side, who will patiently listen to my needs and respect every decision I make. It turns out that being loved really makes you more confident. Chen Jinyu took me to meet her former friends at number 1 middle school. We were hanging out in a KTV. Chen Jinyu got drunk, and found an empty private room to rest. She lay on the coffee table, resting her head on one hand, while holding my other hand tightly. The light in here was dim. I looked at her profile and it still seems a little unreal. I sneaked over and gave her a kiss on the lips. Who knew that the next moment, she suddenly opened her eyes. Her eyes were clear, but her voice was bewitching. "Kiss me again, okay?" My ears turned red, but I nodded anyway. The next moment, Chen Jinyu leaned over and held my head, our breaths intertwined, and there was an ambiguous warmth between our lips. "Chen Jinyu, I really like you." I hugged her and let her lean on my shoulder. I finally expressed my love for her in person, directly and clearly. From then on, the obscurity and difficulty of secret love would no longer exist for me. "Chen Jinyu, maybe I can't empathize with you during those 3 years, but I can guarantee that every year after that, I like you will be more than you like me. Extra, Chen Jinyu's perspective. Later I found out that I first heard the name, Chen Jinyu, from their class teacher. After graduating from the college entrance examination, I returned to number 1 middle school to retrieve my files and other things. At that time, several senior class teachers were there, and I heard them talking about who in the science class was the biggest dark horse this year and had been admitted to V University. Since we were in the same school, I have some impression of this matter. But I never expected that I would see this Chen Jinyu in my first class in college. I thought it was a natural fate between people, but later I realized how much effort he put in to earn this fate for us. His ears seem to turn red very easily, and sometimes I really think he is very cute. I couldn't imagine how he could have silently liked me for 3 years without any response. I actually remember the photo I found in his room later. He cut out my photo and put the others back. At that time, a friend of mine was on the honor roll like me. After hearing that his photo had been picked up, he came to show off to others. However, not long after he showed off, the light box cloth returned to the trash can. She came back and said that my thing was the only one missing. At that time, Jiang Yuan was pretending to be my boyfriend. He blocked a lot of romantic opportunities for me, allowing me to live a quiet life in number 1 middle school. I didn't take it seriously at all. There was also the time of military training in high school. I was looking at the tube of ointment on the table and noticed that there was someone behind the door. In fact, if I just looked behind the door, I could recognize him a long time in advance. However, I could clearly sense his nervousness and fear at that time, so I chose to leave. Chen Jinyu said that in the first year of high school, the whole grade was ranked together, but his grades were relatively low at that time, so I didn't notice him. Later, because I was in the arts department and he was in the science department, the arts and science departments were in different buildings, and the results were also on different lists. So by some strange coincidence, I didn't even notice him at all. How lucky I am to be liked by him. My roommate said that I was not kind, and that I was taking advantage of the sister status to get the upper hand. At first I scoffed at it, but I didn't expect to be slapped in the face so quickly. When I see other girls asking for her WeChat, I feel extremely unhappy and want to drive away all the girls around him except me. At first I comforted myself, thinking that I might just be taking my sister identity too seriously. But I just couldn't convince myself or deceive myself. I was no longer a simple sister to him, I wanted to be a girlfriend. That's why I suggested that he pretend to be my boyfriend. It turns out that everyone is not immune to love, and I also became scheming. I went back to number 1 middle school, looking at those familiar places. I slowly began to imagine Chen Jinyu wearing the oversized school uniform of number 1 middle school at that time. I also slowly remembered a lot of things: the boy who found my meal card on the playground, the boy who hung my name on the school blessing tree, the boy who wrote me a greeting card. It seemed like everything was about him. It turns out that I didn't have so many suitors, but his love for me was too deep, and I regarded his share as many shares of many people. The vague shadow finally turned into a solid entity, and I clearly saw Chen Jinyu's immature face. That was Chen Jinyu who was 15 or 16 years old, and that was the Chen Jinyu who loved me. The reason I met Chen Jingyu on the bus that time was because I stayed overnight at my aunt's house the night before. I usually ride my bike to school by myself. Sometimes it is really magical, all the causes and processes are connected into a line, and then the butterfly effect brings unexpected results. I was standing at the platform waiting for bus number 412. Today the sun was shining brightly and the breeze was blowing gently. This scene was perfect for recording a memory of my youth. If time could go back to that day 3 years ago, I would definitely tell 15-year-old Chen Jingyu, don't be afraid, your future girlfriend will come to save you.